A soul still burns.
Is that this one? I don't think that's this one. Hi, this is Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector demo, and this is me, 5-Hour Fanatic, over here in the bottom left, and we're going to try out this game. Demo. I am a big fan of the first one. I currently hold the world record for speedrunning the first one. And it's a real good game, and I highly recommend it. And I'm going to see what the second one's about. Cardi Girl, welcome on in. How's it going? I'm going to push the button. We got a little spaceship over here. We're going to press a button and see what happens. Launches early 2025. Wishlist the game below to be notified on launch. Joke's on you. I already did that. Let's do the third one for funsies. Broken dice are worth 1. Higher stress tolerance. Death is disabled. Oh, yeah. Seffi's a good kitty cat. So we get a difficulty choice. We did not get this in the first game. It was just the standard difficulty. Dangerous has a permadeath, which I'm not here for. Let's try risky. Let's go down the middle. Let's go for the default. Maybe someday I will do dangerous, but not this day. Operator is apparently really bad at endure and pretty bad at engineer, but really good at interface. I don't know what all these symbols mean yet. Reroll dice, a risky but potentially powerful move. +1 stress to reroll the lowest dice. Okay. The extractor, that's quite a look. No intuition, pretty bad interface, lots of endurance. Or the machinist. Now, the machinist. I think we might go for a machinist. I think that is our look. I think that is our vibe. In the moment before waking, the dark space before conscious thought, you struggle to find the pieces of yourself. Usually these pieces come with a particular cadence, each appearing sequentially like the boot process of an old terminal. First your body, artificial, compromised, but relaying sense data all the same. Then it's context, the breeze of air filtration, the soft contact of your birth in 0G. Then emotion, coming into focus, coming into your body, bringing with it that first instinct, the one that has framed your past 100 cycles. Fear. But that familiar sequence does not arrive. Instead, you are unmoored in space, your body distant, your context silent, even your emotions somehow obscured and scattered. Among all that disarray, only one familiar thing arrives: the fear. It is a scrambled, panicked fear, the drowning fear, the falling fear, the fear that makes you reach desperately for any stable point. It is the fear that tells you something is wrong. Something is very wrong with you. Wake up, sleeper. The voice is whispered in your ear, an act that makes you suddenly aware of your head pulsing in pain, your body rigid with tension. Sleeper. A familiar name. A mind copied, emulated. A body built, implanted. One person sleeping until their debt is worked away. Their double being made to work, to be consumed, and eventually to be destroyed. A proxy. An emulation. A sleeper. That is what you are. But you escaped, you remember that now, broke free of your corporate creators, S and ARP, in search of a future. You cannot remember the details of your escape, but you know the fear has been with you ever since you did. All of a sudden, you remember you have eyes, and your eyes flicker open. Pale eyes and a pale face. Lane. The name comes to you with its own specific sensation of fear, one you recoil from instinctively. Sorry to interrupt. A sharp smirk. But this ends here. You search your mind for more than a name. Is this how you reward me for my generosity? Lane is leaning over your horizontal floating body, looking down into your eyes. I took you in, protected you, gave you a purpose. You try to look away to the corners of your vision to find something you understand. Your body does not respond. But I suppose that wasn't enough. He reaches into the pocket of his jacket and retrieves a small vial. This wasn't enough. The vial glitters. This object you know and have known for a long time. Stabilizer, the drug that keeps your artificial body, your emulated mind, from inevitable decay. The only balm in your planned obsolescence. For your planned obsolescence, the liquid roiling in the vial fills you with disgust. Lane pockets the vial, but it would be wasted on you now, after what you have done to this body of yours. He looks at you with a palpable disgust. Lane's eyes scan your body, and as they do, you become aware of the wires and tubes attached to you. Those that were meant to free you from your dependence, from the stabilizer and the control it grants Lane. They are free, you piece of shit. They don't need you anymore. The voice comes from somewhere behind Lane's head. It is a voice you know, but when you try to search your mind to understand why you only find dizzying darkness. Shut him up, Lane barks at the command, and you hear the sounds of impact, of pain from elsewhere in the room. You try to move your limbs again, and this time you feel the flicker, the twitch of a finger. You feel the extension and compression of a synthetic muscle. Free, are you? Lane smirks. You were free when I disabled your tracker, when I gave you the stabilizer you needed. He scans your body with angry eyes. Now you aren't free, you're just broken. I had such big plans for you, Sleeper. I invested in you. Lane grips your arm hard, and you feel a jolt of reaction. You will the arm to move. But you have ruined all that. Lane speaks louder over the sound of struggle behind him. I will try to preserve your body, of course. I have my own uses for it. But your emulation? You feel one of his hands searching behind your head. He finds and grips the thick cable running into the port at the base of your skull. I will burn that out. Lane jerks forward, slamming across your body, and then spinning away, out of sight. You feel yourself rolling, the cables plugged into you, looping and wrapping around your limbs. Then you feel hands steadying you, pulling cables. You glance around wildly and see someone diligently unplugging you. You meet his eyes. Oh, it's my mysterious savior. Hey, he waves a hand in your dazed face. We need to move. Lane won't be out long. He unloops a cable from around your wrist. Sleeper, help me out here. You blink slowly. Do you know this person? He leans over you, and you feel his hands on the connector, flicking switches, releasing locks. Come on, come on, come on! He tugs the connector clear and pulls you up. You see the room you are in for the first time, filled with tech and terminals, wires waving everywhere, all lit by big windows looking out on an impossibly bright, screen-filled street beyond. In the corner you see the dark shape of a floating body, surrounded by a glittering constellation of crimson baubles. Is that blood? Move! You are wrestled and shoved towards the door, which slides open in front of you, and then you are out in all that brightness, all that movement, gliding hard towards some unknown destination. You come to a stop in a dark alley, the one who guided you here pausing, catching his breath. He doubles over beside a massive life support unit that sends a lukewarm breeze across your skin. You stare at him, trying to recall anything about him. You notice his tattered jacket, his lightweight clothes. You remember the station runs hot. Something about the power that flows through the place. He looks up and meets your eye. What's going on, sleeper? He wipes sweat from his forehead and it floats away in a swarm of spheres. Talk to me. Who was that? You see a concerned frown cross his face. Lane? He blinks a few times. You are asking who Lane is. He comes closer, eyeing you carefully. What station are we on? He narrows his eyes, waits for the answer. You close your eyes, trying to recall. You force your way through the dark to the image of a station. No, a city, growing on the back of a vast set of hexagonal solar cells. Shadowed by them, you open your eyes. Dark side. The word leaves your mouth like an exhale, an instinct. Before you heard yourself sound it out, you didn't know it was there. He sighs. And me. Who am I? You see something like fear in his eyes. Panic, perhaps. You stare hard at his face. The slight upturn of his mouth, the intensity of his stare. Nothing comes. He closes his eyes and drops his head, putting a hand to his temple. The reboot. He is speaking quietly to himself. Lane interrupted the process and... He lifts his head to stare at you. We need to keep going. We need to leave. He turns and kicks off down the alley. Come on, the rig can't be far. As you are led through the passages and serviceways of the station, you try to recall your life here. The texture, the temperature of Darkside feels familiar, but you struggle to pin specific memories to it. Focusing hard, you recall waking up in these passages, cycle after cycle. The rhythms of the station flowing over you, along with the crowds. You recall desperation and the slow decay of your body that caused it. Then Lane, those pale eyes offering you a glittering vial. Stabilizer, the promise of supplying more for your work, the deal he locked you into like a cage. There your memory fails you, but in the dark beyond that moment, the residue of panic, of fear, remains. You were Lane's prisoner, Lane's plaything. You shudder in the cold passage. Hold. Your guide holds up a hand, and you stop your glide using the wall. Ahead, you see the tunnel opens up into a wide open bay, with a few doors leading to cylindrical tunnels. The docks. They're watching the rig. He nods towards the docks, and you see one of the doors has a couple of figures flanking it, one covered in ornate tattoos, the other with bright silver implants along their cheekbones. Utsubo. Lane's guys. He looks at you and shakes his head in frustration. All this, it's not coming back to you, is it? He places his hand on his chest. I'm Seraphin, all right? He looks pained when he speaks. Lane, he was our captor, both of us. We did this so we could escape. Troubled, stubborn, and on the run. That's Seraphin. We need to reboot you, to break your dependence on Stabilizer. He pauses. You know what that is, right? You nod meekly. Elaine interrupted me back there. The reboot didn't complete, and... He sighs and shakes his head. We can still make this work. He looks back at the docks. I'll lead them away. You get the docking bridge open. If we make it to the rig, I know how to get us in. Got that? He searches your face for a sign or recognition. I think that's a typo. That's okay, it's the demo. What's the rig? Seraphin looks annoyed. A ship. Our ship, or at least it soon will be. Lane assigned it to us when we were on jobs for him. Get that door open. He pats you on the shoulder. I know you can do this. Seraphin kicks off hard and glides into the docks. Over here, shitheads, he bellows to the guards as he barrels through. They immediately push off from the wall, giving chase. During scenes, you may encounter skill checks, where you can perform certain actions using your skills. Like the dice actions you will encounter later, skill checks can have a positive, neutral, or negative outcome. The better the rating of your skill, the more likely you will succeed on a check. The odds of success are displayed when you select the check. Let's see more info on the guide. You wait a breath, then glide across to the door they were guarding. You look, already panicked, at the tightly sealed door, its control panel locked out. You hear a shout from somewhere nearby. You need to get it open. Well, I'm going to do the one that is better for me. Positive outcome. Less stress. Let me try and bump up my chair. It's a little low. There we go. I'm taller. How lovely. You shift open the central axis. You shift to the central axis panel and wrench it open. It takes a moment to understand the mechanism, and you reach in and snap the locking axis, the door popping open with a hiss. Go, go! Seraphin flies past you toward the doorway into the docking tunnel. You turn to see the two guards approaching fast across the docks and quickly glide after Seraphin. Seraphin is already at the rig's door, inputting an entry code. The rig's door scissors open, and you both rush inside. Quickly! Seraphin grabs you by the arm and drags you up to the cockpit, the ship's layout hazy in your mind. He dumps you into a flight seat and straps himself into his own. You see him tap a series of buttons as he does, talking to himself. Come on! The rig's drive rumbles into life, and Seraphin slams a button on the console. You feel the force of the ship's acceleration as it pulls away. Yeah! Space! I'm going to take a sip of a beverage. Not great, Dice. As the ship glides into place on the connecting bridge, its automatic systems nudged there by the port's docking protocols, you feel a sense of relief. Seraphin burned hard out of dark side, and you dropped in and out of consciousness in your seat as the rig made its way across the belt. But now, with open space between you and Lane, you feel fresher, more awake. Seraphin breaks the silence. We're good, sleeper. His eyes don't leave the monitor, and you realize this part of your escape is routine for him. You and he must have docked this ship countless times in your work for Lane. The problem is, you don't remember any of them. We made it, he whispers, closing his eyes and letting out a sigh. He certainly did. He turns. You see a pained look on his face, as if remembering something difficult. Had you said this exact same thing to him? In the same situation? Are you okay? He looks at you, chewing one side of his lip, searching your face. Not really, he puffs. Seraphin reaches up, flicking through a set of switches in a practiced fashion, completing the shutdown. You watch, a little frustrated with your own uselessness. Running the rig, you realize, is just another thing you've forgotten. A clunk that runs through the walls of the ship is followed by a short percussive alarm tone from the pilot's console. Docking complete. Seraphin kicks off from his seat, twisting as he glides past you towards the back of the cockpit. His hands find the rails on either side of the door, and he pauses, facing into the corridor beyond. He turns back to you, backlit in cold cyan. We need a plan. He glances around. Lane's not going to let us slip away quietly, he sighs. We need to talk. Seraphin furrows his brow. Not now, sleeper. We need to forget, he flinches, the words coming out wrong. We need to focus on something other than... He pauses again, unsure. Us. He sighs. We need to survive this thing first. Then maybe we talk. That isn't fair. Seraphin's eyes flash. What isn't fair, sleeper, is that I just gave up everything for someone who can barely remember my name. He tenses at his own unexpected anger. We are not doing this. He slams the metal of the cockpit wall. Not now. He closes his eyes and looks down. Just let me think. He fixes you with a stare. I need to think. We have bought ourselves some time. He glances through the cockpit window at the blinking lights of the station. You may not remember Hexport, but I do. And there's plenty of opportunities here for us, if we can keep our heads down. He turns back to the corridor. That's what we'll do. He pushes off and glides towards the main lock, and you follow, pulling yourself along, hand over hand in 0G. We already emptied the tank on this thing. He slaps a hand against the ship's insides. So we need to refuel, and that won't be cheap. But if you and I know one thing, sleeper, it's how to work. I'm going to get myself reacquainted, see if I can turn up any old connections. People that might throw us an easy contract. You, he glances back over his shoulder. You keep out of trouble. I can handle myself. Seraphin stops at the airlock. Look, Sleeper, you aren't yourself. He sighs. Stopping the reboot halfway through, he pulls a worn crew jacket from a locker and starts pulling it on. We don't know what that did to you. He jams an arm into a sleeve. I don't want you passing out, and he stops. It'll take both of us. Seraphin sighs. I hate it when you're alright. He grabs another crew jacket and thrusts it at you. Just put the damn hood up, will you? You take it and slip it on. Thank you. Seraphin nods. He stabs at the button to open the lock. The inner door hisses open, and Seraphin glides through. Wait for a little bit, then leave. Anyone looking for us will be looking for two people traveling together. He looks at you in your worn crew jacket, a limited disguise for what is clearly a sleeper. We meet back here later. Any trouble? Same thing. Meet here. He takes another look at your disguise and shakes his head. This is a shitty idea. He gives you one last look. Maybe find yourself something to eat. Suddenly you recognize Seraphin's instinct to look after you. A flash of her relationship now lost to the reboot. Catch. Seraphin throws a handful of something towards you. You manage to grab the projectiles, and when you open your hand, you see a stack of cryo chits. Those should get you some food. We'll need some more for fuel and supplies, he grimaces. That means odd jobs on the station, for the both of us. Seraphin kicks off and glides down the docking bridge. Don't go too far, all right, he shouts as he leaves. Take it slow. And with that, he is gone. Leaving the connecting bridge and heading into the docking concourse of Hexport, you wait for a moment of silence. Make a plan. Try to think ahead to what might be coming. You need work. That's the first step, but what then? Lane will be coming eventually, so the sooner you can put some distance between you and Hexport, the better. So that's the plan. Rest, resupply, and run. You shake your thoughts from your head and pull the jacket tight. Let's see what Hexport has to offer. You kick off and glide into port. Oh, it says in Sleeper 2, Starward Vector. Game runs in cycles, during which you can perform actions with your dice, use cryo to buy food, fuel, supplies, and items, progress clocks towards new scenes and events. You review tutorials at any time, mouse wheel to scroll. I don't have my controller plugged in, so I can't test that, but I assume it works similarly. Alright, so we've got our ship, we've got the docks, we've got the exchange. Let's check the exchange. We use dice to do things. Dice will be modified by skill. Safe, risky, or dangerous. More dangerous action, the more significant both its rewards and consequences will be. Interface and engineer, so that might be a good place for me. Engage I am bad at. Intuit I'm not bad at, but that's dangerous, so I don't want to be pushing that luck. Trading scrap, definitely going to be good at this. Going to get a positive outcome with this die. Let's try it. I just progressed clock. Clocks track my progress towards doing cool stuff. Worst case is neutral, so let's go for this. I lost some cryo from a neutral outcome, but I gained progress in the exchange clock, which opened up Hexport Trade Hall and a Hexport Canteen. How neat. On the left, you can upgrade your skills to improve the skill modifier. To the right, you can upgrade your push to the unique ability of your class. When you upgrade your push, only one upgrade at each level can be active at once. Figure which is active only while at a hub. No points available. Not allowed. I can never engage. I'm a machinist. Good to know. I assume that's what that means. I could be wrong. I could be misreading it, but that's my intuition. The trade hall. I can almost fill up on fuel, but I think I need... Got some supplies. I could fill up on supplies, but I don't need to do that yet. Eating gives you energy and stops you from starving. That's true. Different foods give you different amounts of energy. I assume this is my energy, but I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and get a meal. Yeah, so full. Use dice to reduce stress. Use supplies to regain energy. Cycle clock. We need to get out of here before that fills up. Odd job, scavenge fuel, source supplies. Oh, this is what Seraphin's doing. Okay. Yes, do some odd jobs. Well, the one I'm bad at is risky, and the one I'm neutral at is danger. I think the best I can get is a neutral outcome. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to spend a die here anyway and see what happens. I lose energy, but I gain some Hexport Expert. I can lose some energy. Is it all going to be negatives? Am I going to have real bad luck? Yeah, that's fun. Go back to rest. It said I found a new location. The Bends. The Bends Fry. Star and Stoker. I would probably be better at that. Let's see how Ben's Fry does me. Okay. That's pretty good. And cycle. Honk shoot. Oh, those are some nice dice. You're in trouble, sleeper. Seraphin leans into the berths as you're getting out of your bunk. Without further explanation, he disappears down the corridor towards the rear of the ship. You drift into the passage, pulling on your clothes, and glide down the length of the ship, the cool air making you shiver. Seraphin is a silhouette silently leading the way. He stops at the far end, diverting through a side door, shooting you a glance as he does. You find Seraphin inside, holding one of a tangle of arm-thick tubes that are waving in the zero-G engine room. You know what these are? No, tell me. These are the engine's feed lines. He waves one in the air. And before you ask, no, they aren't supposed to be waggling loose. What happened? These must have broken loose when we pushed the ship hard on our way out of Darkside. He looks at the mess. We are lucky the reserve tank is empty, otherwise... He shakes his head. It would have been bad. But, he pushes the tape to the side. No feed from the reserve tank means that the rig's range is limited to the local region only. He thumps the large lumpen housing of the engine. This thing can't take us anywhere far. So we need to fix it? Seraphin sighs. That's the short of it. Seraphin whacks the engine housing again, harder this time. Just not been our run of luck. He turns and starts gathering the tangled feed lines, his frustration evident in the violence of his movements. We need a new set of these, that's for sure. He starts forcing them into a crate. So how about you try to track them down? I'll take a look at things here and see if I can figure out another fix for the reserve tank. He glances up from his work. From what I've heard in Hexport, Factory Row is the place to find shipfitters. Maybe you can do some recon while I sort this place out? It's on the other end of the station. Okay, I'll take a look. Seraphin keeps working. Wait. Seraphin pauses, seemingly unsure. There's something else. He drops the feed lines and they float, waving in the air like tubular seaweed. I've heard word that Lane's on the hunt. He frowns. A message went out everywhere in the local radius of Darkside. He's looking for us. And we can't leave. Exactly. Seraphin sighs. Which is why we need those feed lines. I'm going to try to work something out. Maybe I can improvise a solution. I don't know. He looks down. I'm no ship fitter. But while I do, you go hunting. See what you can turn up, okay? He smiles a weak smile. Now get out of here. You leave the engine room, the clanking sound of Seraphin's cleanup efforts echoing through the ship. Fuel feed lines. That's the next step. You take a deep breath and head out. I gotta drive. I got a job to do. I gotta drive. I gotta do a thing. Factory Row. I'm not good at some of this stuff. What does a 5 get me? Yeah! Sweet Scrap Soul, I think it said. Swift Scrap Soul. Solutions. Triple S, as it's known locally, is a chaotic and slightly terrifying scrapyard, where open ships are always available. I mean, it's a waste of a 6 to use it on one I'm really good at. Let's do a 4 turned into a 5. Let's do that twice, I think. Money. We'll take money. Yeah. That's some good cash. And let's spend the other 6 here to get that filled up. Factory Row howls as you walk through its cramped passages. Whatever its many bays and rooms once were, they now serve as containers for industry of every kind. I'm going to turn down that noise a little bit. Whirring manufactories precisely engineer components with rapidly shifting arms, while scrappers hammer insistently at bent ship plates. Everywhere you look, there is energy and activity, and for good reason. Export itself is built on the derelict fragments of a solar reflector, and even the small amount of energy generated by its remaining mirrors is enough to power a city of machines. It is familiar to you, of course, in a strange, far-off way, because of Darkside. That place and your memories of it are a muddy haze, but it is hard to forget the glint of its hexagonal reflectors, 10 or 20 times more in the number of Hexport. More in number than Hexport, and that wild, flickering city growing on their back like a tumor. In comparison, Hexport feels provincial, but deep in Factory Row, you could almost be back in Darkside. And then you see them. Tubes, just like those Seraphin had waved in your face. The feed lines. You push over to the display window of the unit, marked Karsten Supply in block capitals cut from hull plate. There amongst an angled shelf of oversized ship components sit the feed lines, like some large biomechanical tangle of snakes. You slip inside, where the sound of Factory Row is a little screened, and spot a large figure working at a bench. Hunched over and concentrated, it seems he doesn't notice you enter. I'll wait. Hi, Karsten. You let him work, watching as, despite his heavy build, he delicately aligns the components, their layers slotting like puzzle pieces. After a few moments of observing the process, he turns his head a little towards you. Can I help you? His accent is heavy but unknown to you. Nice place you have. You see little reaction from the profile of Karsten's face. He grunts. Something you need. Before you can respond, he tracks your eyes to the feed lines at the window. He looks back at you with a subtly changed expression, one you can't quite place. He turns with surprising grace and begins cleaning his hands on a cloth. Those sharp eyes scan you, but Karsten's thick-set features do not betray the results of his assessment. Custom built those, for a client that never collected. He looks at his hands while he speaks, checking for stray oil stains. You have one of the old MEVs, then? He sounds out the letters in a way you don't recognize as he speaks. You try to recall anything you know about your ship, but the memories elude you. Perhaps Seraphin should have come along. I think so? Karsten squints a little. Right. Look. Karsten drifts over to where you are standing, his imposing height evident. For a fellow enthusiast like you, he continues in a distinctive monotone, let's say a few hundred cryo on clean chits. He shoots a glance at the feed lines. 400, let's say, to be precise. 400? 400, Karsten says back, repeating your question without the emphasis. It's expensive, I know. It's a shame, but it's just what they are worth. He screws up his mouth a little into something that might be a smile. However, I'm more of the bartering type myself anyway. Barter sounds good. Karsten nods sagely. There's a little favor I need a crew for, and, well, you look like you might be a good fit. He tucks the cloth away into a pocket and clasps his hands. I know of an old Solheim wreck out there, real old, pre-collapse. It's tucked away in a dead zone, so no one has ever really cut it. He shrugs. Not only that, but Solheim derelicts have a habit of triggering nasty security protocols when approached by an unfamiliar ship. So it's been left well alone. But a salvager like you with an old Solheim rig, I bet it wouldn't even flinch if it saw you coming. He smiles. I have a special interest. A need for that old tech. All those Solheim ships had a data core, and while I don't care about the accounting reports or material ledgers or whatever they kept on the damn thing, I do care about the hardware. So if I was to find you back here with that data core in your cargo hold, clean cut and complete, well, then I could see my way to doing a straight barter for those feed lines. Karsten pauses, sniffs the air again. You just need the coordinates. Simple as that? Simple as that, he repeats in his monotone way. So, you interested? He glances back at his workbench. Because I'm a busy man. I'll do it. All right then. He holds out his heavy hand for you to shake, and as you automatically reach out, he grabs your forearm instead. Karsten pulls you closer, squeezing your arm. Let's keep this one between us, all right? He half smiles, his face huge and close. It's our deal. Before you can respond, he thumbs a little drive into your palm. Those coordinates. And then he lets you go with what you swear is a wink. You take a moment to gather yourself, and by the time you do, a whirring fills the air. Karsten having returned to his workbench. You turn and glide out of Karsten's supply with a growing mix of anxiety and excitement in the pit of your stomach, and the cacophony of Factory Row in your ears. A contract. Seraphin might even be impressed. Look at the drive in your palm and smile. This could be a route out. You think of leaving this place behind, in possession of an improved ship, too. Suddenly, a small but firm hand falls on your back, an equally small voice coming with it. Hey, wait up! Hi, Junie. You turn in the passage to see a young woman, her hair waving from the rapid glide. She clearly just came out to catch you. She steadies herself using your shoulder. Sorry, she smiles a quick and flat smile. Wanted to catch you. I'm Junie. Her dark eyes flick around nervously. You notice the portable terminal she carries, something data scrapers call a deck, and her backpack full of components and trailing wires. What's up? Karsten, she starts, still catching her breath. He sent me to grab you. She smiles that flat smile again. Wants me to come with you on that job. Her eyes shoot down into the drive in the palm of your hand. She smiles again. I think I'm being lied to. Why didn't he tell me? She glances back towards Karsten's. I guess he forgot? He does that sometimes. She looks sheepish. I'll get this. She looks sheepishly at you. Woof. She just grabbed me after you two were done talking, so... Karsten's always sending me out on things like this. I guess he wants me to help you out. Keep an eye on things. She pauses. I can be pretty helpful. So, she looks around the passage. Should I meet you at your ship and you can tell me when you're ready to go? We do need help, but I'm not sure. She looks nervous. Sure, I mean, you aren't sure when you're leaving? I'm not sure you're coming. She pauses, thinking. I mean, Carson said I need to go. She glances back into the shop. And he does get pretty mad when people don't do what he asks. She shrugs. Let's see. Okay. She glances around. Carson doesn't like waiting, but it's up to you. Anyway, she pushes off and waves. Looking forward to working with you, she calls back as an afterthought. What about the ship? Oh, I'll find it, she calls back and then disappears down the passage. You watch her go, glad of the contract, but nervous too. Will Carson keep up his side of the bargain if you deliver? She wants to steal my stuff. I don't know about this, Sleeper. Seraphin looks nervously out the rig's windows as you finish explaining Carson's deal as well as Junie's offer of help. If this job was easy, Carson would have done it himself already. That means there's a catch. And then there's definitely something going on with this Junie girl. He shakes his head. What choice do we have? What if, Seraphin narrows his eyes, we could get the cryo together to buy the feed lines? Is that even possible? I found a contract board in the exchange further in station. We take on a job, that might get us most of the way towards buying those feed lines. Plus, even if we do want to take Carson's job, a bit of money to get ourselves repaired wouldn't be a bad idea. Fill up on fuel, supplies, be ready for whatever comes. Do we have time? Probably not, but without cryo for fuel and supplies, we aren't going anywhere. Seraphin sighs. Just take a look at the contract board. See what you think. While you're at it, you might want to see if you can scare up some freelance work too. Maybe many hands make light work and all that. Or we stop messing around, we take Carson's job right now and get it done before he can think twice. Seems like a whole set of bad options to me. Either way, I've still got work to do on the drive. Seraphin nods a farewell, heading back to the engine room. Let me know what you decide. For a moment you pause, letting the haze of the plans and ideas settle into your mind. Suddenly you curl up, pain shooting across your spine. You grit your teeth, your muscles lock tight. Your vision narrows as you squeeze your eyes shut. You feel a shift as if some connection is broken. It's almost impossible to describe, like you're floating away from your body, dispersing, dissolving. There is nothing familiar in the pain, nothing to hold on to. You grit your teeth. Then another shift comes and you're back in your body, trembling against the metal wall of the passage. The pain slowly fades, becoming a pulsing throb and then a residual flicker. You flex in 0G, stretching out the tension. There's a strange sensation of distance that persists beyond the pain. A disconnection between your body and yourself. A flickering numbness that refuses to recede. You wonder if the reboot has done something to your body, or if this is some new sensation you will have to live with indefinitely. It strikes you that you know so little about the body that houses you. It could be moments away from collapse, or it might persevere for countless cycles like this. You try to shake off the feeling of pushing your hands against each other until they feel like they are yours again. Time is the only thing you need, and right now it feels like it's running out fast. You head for the airlock. You have work to do. Contracts are high risk, high reward jobs. Gather fuel, gather supplies, look for a crew. Karsten, danger. I definitely want fuel and supplies before I head out. Let me look at the contract board. Risky for 200 cryo. Not right now. Let's get up to 6 and 10. Do I want to spend that one? Do I have anything I could spend that one on? I would probably take an energy hit, which isn't the worst thing. I think it would be bad if I failed that. I don't think I have anything safe I can do that might get me money. No, I would almost certainly lose money that way. Yeah. I can cancel it like that. Okay. I haven't tried the dice swap yet. Oh, neutral, I got some money. That's good. I need some feed lines. Can use that to get rid of stress, which I don't think I have any of right now. I think that's what these yellow pips are. Oh, not too bad on the dice. Let's go get a Ben's fry. Let's try it. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. You could be useful. I don't trust her, but she might be useful. The Solheim Derelict. Oh, I get new dice when I leave. Interesting. The Solheim Derelict fills the cockpit windows, all twisted plates and skeletal strutwork. You watched it in horror and fascination as Seraphim completed the approach, both of you silent in the presence of this decaying beast. Now, as you settle beside it, Seraphim is the first to break the silence. This thing is already dead. He shakes his head. It's a corpse, Sleeper. He nudges the ship closer, looking for a place to dock. I touched this thing too hard, it'll crumble into dust. Let's not do that. Seraphim does a little mock salute. Aye, aye, he rolls his eyes. Any other tips? Take us up there. That's the bridge. Junie points towards one end of the ship, and both you and Seraphim turn around, having forgotten she was even in the cockpit. She hasn't said a word since you departed. She glances at both of your bemused faces. What? She looks away. Sorry, that's where we need to go. She stops pointing. Seraphim nods towards Junie. She's not wrong, Sleeper. The bridge would be a good start. Assess the wreck first. Junie settles silently back into her seat. She looks away out of the cockpit, and you're unsure if she is upset or just embarrassed. Carefully, Seraphim brings the ship close to the derelict and guides it along the hull. The rig's lights ripple over the broken surface, finding gaps and cracks everywhere. It seems remarkable that the derelict is still held together. Shit, Seraphim hisses as the huge spinning piece of debris drifts in front of the cockpit. He pushes the rig down beneath it, squeezing between the debris and the hull, and as he does so, an ear-splitting screech signals the rig scraping across the derelict's skin. You freeze for a moment, waiting for the breach sirens to sound, but the moment passes and you relax. You glance at Seraphim. His face betrays no emotion. This isn't safe, Seraphim shakes his head. I'm going to find somewhere better to settle the ship, and then we need to suit up and work our way along the hull on foot. You look back at Junie and see her still in her seat, eyes wide. You okay? Junie looks at you, and then there is a sudden unfamiliar hardness in her eyes that surprises you. Then a moment later, it is gone, and her gaze softens. I'm okay. She smiles a flat smile. Don't worry. Seraphin brings the ship away from the derelict's hull an inch at a time, then slowly brings it round to settle close to a mostly intact hull plate. This section is fairly free of debris. He nudges the ship a little closer. We should be good to hold here. Seraphin unclips from his seat, and you and Junie follow suit. As you all glide down towards the airlock, Junie silently follows, though you can't help but feel judged. As you reach the airlock, Seraphin begins suiting up. If we're lucky, that little collision hasn't started a cascade that will end with this place coming apart under our feet. Seraphin violently kicks his legs into a set of Eva trousers, clearly irritated by his own carelessness. No comment. This is a delicate job, Junie says quietly, almost to herself. The data core will be fragile. She casts a furtive glance in the direction of you and Seraphin. Very fragile. Understood. Junie nods appreciatively. The rest of the preparation process takes place in tense silence, each of you considering the delicate job ahead. You suit up too. Though you don't need a helmet to breathe, you slide one on and lock the seals for protection. This wreck isn't going to give up its salvage easily. The core should be near the bridge, maybe even inside it. But there's a lot of wreck here, and there might be some good salvage tucked away in the cargo hold. Once the suits are on and the seals are checked, you cycle the lock and stare out at the vast expanse of the twisted hulk before you go. Time to go to work. Assign 2 dice for each crew member. As you would assign your own dice, pay attention to the crew's skills and use them effectively. Crews may take stress. If so, I'll no longer be able to use them. Energy bar will automatically be supplied for each cycle you have supplies available. Supplies are depleted. 1 stress per cycle. Yikes. I think those pips are the stress now. Contracts also have their own contract stress. When this bar is filled, the contract will fail. Good luck. Already took 2. Great. I'm good at that. Good. Yeah. One crisis active. All breach. Okay. Just getting some stress. A chance of getting a negative. Okay. So I see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think if I roll too low, these fill up with stress. So I'm going to have each of them use their 1s on this. Good. A little bit. It is a bad idea, but do it anyway. No problem. It is a lot of text. It's a very story-focused game, which I appreciate, but... ooh, my voice doesn't always appreciate it. I feel like I wait until next cycle, let that go one more. What do I have in here? You're just... Until we get on the bridge, you're not going to be very useful, it looks like. Let's look for an access point. Good. Be able to do more with that next cycle. A 1's going to be a 1, so it's just a matter of which one I want to take a risk with. What can I do here? I cannot rest while I'm here. I don't need to eat while I'm here, so I can't eat while I'm here. And that's just my general requirement. Okay. I feel like I should spend the dice, but I don't. No. Yeah. Okay. You took a stress, which is okay. It would be bad if I took a stress. Okay, these are some decent dice. For them, not so much for me, but we take what we can get. It is a good call, isn't it? Yeah, alright. Go ahead and finish that. Breach is sealed. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Good. Now I can keep working on bridge access. This should give me 2? Yeah. Oh, ad break. I will wait for the ad break to end and give myself a little mini vacation of 3 minutes. Is it actually going to start, or do I have to do it manually? There we go. Yeah, much like the first game, a lot of text. It's not a bad thing, but it does give my voice a bit of a workout. I'm enjoying it so far. It's a neat game. And it's just a demo. It's just a ding-dang demo. That's neat. What do I want to do? I think I spend my 2s on locked a section. Because Seraphim is out. Seraphim would have been real nice for forcing the lock, but I had to get that patched up. So... Another minute and a half on the ad break. Do 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 do. That's the song. Waiting for the ad break. Do 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 do. I'm gonna just poke around while I wait. Yeah, she's bad at all of this. It's pretty sure of that, but I wanted to make sure. Now I could give +2 to that 1. Which would bump it up into the neutral dice category. I think we'll see where we're at after we spend the 2 on this. Because Junie's 5 would effectively do the same thing here. But I think once we get the bridge open, she is going to be very useful there. So I might, if I can get that open, want to spend it on that. I have something that looks like a plan. Just need to wait. Just need to wait. A break is almost done. There we go. All right. So I'm going to spend a 2, which turns into a 3. Make sure. Okay. Dice swap doesn't work. While on contract, you can use your push ability to give you an edge in a tricky situation. 1 stress, but gives you a key advantage. I am aware of this. Thank you. Yeah! The bridge of the derelict lies silent. The pale beams of your suit lamps catch rows of terminals and clouds of glittering dust. Wires wave like seaweed, and the whole scene appears as if underwater. Chaotic, but still. But still what? Junie glides past you, disturbing the dust and taking you by surprise as she does. She has been a stoic presence so far, but in this moment she seems drawn forward by some force of curiosity. You watch as she bats away some debris and begins checking terminals. I'll let her work. She is already prying an access panel off one of the more intact-looking terminals, and as she does, puffs of rust color the vacuum around her. Approach her. She turns back to the terminal and finishes prying off the plate. Then, quickly, she reaches inside, fishing around for something. Her hand comes back out with a waving cable topped with a thick connector. As soon as she sees it, she slips a keyboard-sized deck out from somewhere on a person. She runs her hand across the back until she finds the right port and slots in the connector. All of this happens in a few seconds, the routine practiced and precise. It is hard not to be impressed. Nicely done. We'll see, she says so quietly it seems mostly to herself. Junie's fingers dance across the deck's keyboard, and a burst of static lights up the Solheim terminal screen. The sudden burst of light and color takes you by surprise. Junie's fingers tap away, the terminal's screen flashing. It's missing apostrophe. Screen flashing with blocks of color and lines of code. It buzzes and vibrates, its long-dead systems forced back into a chaotic life. Then, all at once, it goes dark. The terminal is dead. Shit. Junie hisses beneath her breath. Useless. Cannot tell if the insult is directed at the terminal or herself. There are plenty more. She looks up at you, a confused expression on her face, then looks around the bridge. I suppose. She pauses. But even from here, I can see most of them are less than scrap. The cradle with the data core can't be far. She pushes off from the data terminal, gliding away from you. I'll start looking, she calls back, and heads to the other side of the bridge. Seraphim glides up beside you. Everything all right? What do you think of Junie? The kid? Seraphim shrugs. You know better than me. Keeps to herself. He squints at her retreating form. Seraphim stretches in his suit. I have to admit, it's nice to be back working, especially now that we are the ones who will reap the benefits. Claps you on the shoulder. Feels good to be taking our fate into our own hands. I know it's pretty rough there, back on Hexport. And out here, we are just as likely to get shredded by debris and find the damn data core. But aren't you glad we made a break for it? He pauses and looks down, having asked the question almost by accident. I mean, I am. I just don't want to speak for you. For you. I'm glad too. Seraphim smiles. You better be. I didn't give up that little dark side cupboard I was living in for nothing. He laughs at his own joke. Look. Seraphim checks his suit's wrist seals. Once we've got a bit of space behind us, once we've gone the distance, if we ever manage to get that far, He furrows his brow. Don't feel you owe me. I'm no charity case. You want us to go our separate ways? Fine by me. He meets your eyes. Just do me the favor of telling me to my face. I will. Seraphim nods but doesn't respond. After a moment, he shines his torch out into the dark. By someone from the UK. Didn't use flashlight, use torch. Maybe Europe, but I think UK. At least it is used in the UK. Checking the rows of terminals all across the bridge, you watch the glittering dust as it eddies in the beam. Seraphim sighs. Let's get to it. You watch as he crosses the bridge, his torch probing the dark corners. You feel the chill run through your body as you imagine the people that once ran the ship. The Solheim crew, surely long dead. What was it like here before the collapse? When this system was the jewel in Solheim's crown? It's impossible to know. That history is lost to you now. All you can do is pick what you can from the ruins. She's good at this. Pretty perfect. Here's what we're gonna do. This might be a mistake. Yeah. Push. Reboot the system. Yeah, get that stress back. And yeah, it's not great, but I think it's worth the risk on a risky. Okay, neutral. We'll take a neutral all day. Out of dice. Gotta go to the rig. Gotta end the cycle. I think we're doing well. Oh, those are some good dice. Oh, those are some real good dice today. I want to work on this. Way to work. Because I think there's going to be some goodies in here. Yeah. I think Seraphim... Oh. She's going to be good at this. Okay. Calculating the outcome. Yeah. I'm just going to have her do this and see what sort of goodies we can get. Cracked it. He will be good at this. Compared with us. Alright. Put a little stress on it. Okay, so that does just stress the derelict. Okay. I need to be cautious with that. Yes. +2. +2. Good. Oh, come on. Shoot. This might be a mistake. Yeah. All right, what's the new thing? I'm gonna get one more. That's all right. Okay. 8 of them. She's gonna be good at isolating the core. I'm gonna be good at slicing the core. Is Seraphim any good at this? No? So she's gonna focus on that first. Okay, okay, we've got our final D. I mean... if I can just pull it out and get out of here... Yeah, I got some stress, so I Took some dice harm. Okay. She got some bad dice this time. All right. Oh, I got some bad dice also. So the best you're giving me on one of these is a 3, which is not good, and I do not want to risk if I don't have to. So I feel like that's the technical way to do it. Okay. Shoot, can I get 8 out of this? I gotta try it. Okay. Good. Useful. Okay. Do it again. Okay. Okay. Push that. Try that. Gotta hope. Gotta hope. Neutral. Yeah! Fluked it somehow. You watch nervously as Junie guides the core out of the cradle. A large ball almost half your height in diameter. It glides up out of the framework that held it, connections waving loose and cut. Breathing comes through the suit's comms, loud enough to be picked up, and it fills you with tense energy as you watch. Over the course of this job, you have seen Junie both focused and distracted, nervous and precise, but you have not seen her any more confident than in this moment now. She floats beside the data core, handling it with care and skill, as if it was the vast egg of some endangered bird. She glances up and sees you watching her, and you notice something unfamiliar in her eyes. Something that you have perhaps seen in a passing moment before, only now it is no momentary lapse or change. It is set in place. You see determination. She guides the core a little away from you with one hand, and at the same time comes forward, almost placing herself between you and her prize. And it does seem to be hers in the way she handles it, the possessive way she screens it with her body. We need to talk. The statement comes flat and deadpan, any nervous tremble gone. Right now. Okay. Sleeper. She takes a deep breath. I want to be honest with you, but I need to know you won't take this from me. Junie glances around the cradle defensively, but Seraphine is already headed back to the ship to prepare the cargo bay for the core storage. You two are alone. Tell me and we'll see. Fine, she folds her arms. But it's staying with me. Karsten doesn't deserve this. This treasure, Sleeper. Junie glances over her shoulder at the core. Do you know how many of these are left intact? She shakes her head. And all he wants to do is wipe it clean so he can use the interface with Hexport. All that data, gone. So what do you want? I want to extract the data, to make use of it. You see some genuine emotion flicker in her eyes. She sighs. After extracting the data, the core will be unusable. There's a security system that will fry it if data duplication is attempted. I can delay the security response long enough to copy the data, but after that, she trails off. You've done this before. She looks down. Yes, she meets your eye. This is why I came. Look at this place, Sleeper. She gestures to the cradle room, a dark and twisted cavern of long-dead tech. How many of these places are left? How many chances do we have to recover anything this old, this fragile? Like it or not, we live in Solheim's shadow, in their ruins. And yet we know almost nothing. What chance do we have of understanding how we got here, when others like them, like Senetstat and Conway, are descending on the system? What can we learn from the core? I don't know, Sleeper. That is the point. She gestures around herself. We could learn our history and how this system was settled. We could better learn the technology we build our lives on. We could uncover Solheim's crimes and seek to make amends. She looks at you with pleading eyes. We could see beyond survival, towards something else. You've never heard Junie speak like this, and you realize what you have taken for nervousness was actually control. This, the person in front of you defending a decaying data core with their life, is the real Junie. Oh, I'm bad at engage. But then you think of Lane, of the price he'd likely put on you and Seraphin's head, and of the feed lines without which leaving Hexport will be almost impossible. Is this even a choice? It is. I'll tell her about it. She listens carefully as you tell her about the deal with Karsten, the feed lines he offered you, and that both you and Seraphin are on the run. Then I help you. Junie doesn't flinch. We find another way to get those feed lines. Karsten is an idiot. I can hack his security and you can pull them out of there. Or Seraphin looks tough. Maybe you can grab them? She looks desperate. We could do it. We could do something. Don't you work for him? Junie glances away. Look, I knew you wouldn't take me if... She sighs. I might have misled you there. I knew he knew where the derelict was, and I heard your conversation. I've been keeping an eye on him. She pauses. I know I lied, but I can help you. Let me strip the data from the core, and I promise to help you get the feed lines. She meets your eyes with intensity, but it's a lot of information to take in. Let's do it. Thank you. Junie looks genuinely moved. This is a gift to all of us, Sleeper. I hope you'll see it like that. Junie turns to the data core, quickly gathering one of its loose connections. She takes out her deck and plugs it in, then crosses her legs and places it around them, floating tethered beside the core. Her fingers begin tapping at the keyboard, teasing out the data of the core and whatever Solheim secrets it might contain. As she does, Seraphin enters. He braces himself at the entryway. What's she doing? Junie doesn't seem to notice. Emptying the data. She's doing what? Seraphin jumps to attention, but you put a hand on his shoulder. He eyes you suspiciously. I hope you know what you're doing, Sleeper. He nods towards the core. That's our ticket out of Hexport. Junie will help us. If you say so. And you both turn to watch Junie stripping the core of all its secrets. A little while later, once the core has been emptied out and its defense mechanism has scorched its seams black, you watch the metallic sphere spinning gently in the room, and you wonder if you have just made a terrible mistake. Worst case... Oh, let's see what happens in worst case, huh? That's fine. We got some scrap. Remember, leave the ship in a worse state than how you found it. Ooh, as you arrive back into Hexport, Junie speaks up from the back of the cockpit. We are going to have to act fast if you want to take those feed lines. You and Seraphin exchange glances. You're both still getting net used to this new Junie. We? Seraphin raises an eyebrow. Only one of us fried the core and stole all its data. He shoots you a look. And for some reason, we let you. It was the right call. Was it? Well, I'm reassured. I don't think Karsten is going to take kindly to the idea that we brought someone along pretending to work for him on the job and let her have his prize. He shoots Junie a look. Do you even know what she's up to? Junie looks between the two of you. Hexport hasn't exactly been kind to me. You two trusted me even though I didn't deserve it. I'm not used to that. I want to repay it. Not to mention that Carson is probably ripping you two off. Even if you get enough cryo, who's to say he won't raise the price? Trust me, he's no good. I was trying to deal with Carson to get those derelict coordinates from the moment I arrived here, and he ran me in circles. She shakes her head. Seraphin is watching her closely. Even if I do take you at your word, which, given everything, seems a little tough, how do we even do this? He raises an eyebrow. You're telling me we just walk in there and take the feed lines? Look, I get it. You don't trust me. She pauses. But what if I have a vested interest in this working out? There's nothing left for me here, and I don't much feel like hanging around waiting for Carson to figure out my involvement in all this. I need safe passage. You need the feed lines to grant it. She allows herself a smile. See where I'm going with this? Seraphin sighs. I don't like it. He pauses, but it makes sense. What do you think, Sleeper? I like it. Let me bump the audio back up. I forgot to do that. All right. Let me prepare. I'll head to Factory Row and scope the place out. Meet me there and we can work out a plan. She glances between the two of you. Trust me, we can find a way. We will keep it simple and clean. It's the way that you're making me feel tonight. Different game. Let's get to it. Okay then, Junie smiles. Trust me, this is gonna work. I'll go scope out the bay we need in Factory Row. We should split up. Less likely for Carson to suspect us. Meet me there in a few and we can finish setting up. Junie unclips from her seat, floating up. I want to show you that I can be trusted. That we can do this. She looks between the two of you. Believe that. Please. And with that, she slips away down the passage towards the airlock and Hexport beyond. You look at Seraphin. I'm saying nothing, Sleeper. He unclips from his seat too. Either this is the kind of mess you have to go through to get out the other side, or it's the kind you never escape. Either way, we are in it now. He leaves the cockpit. You stare at the chaotic lights of Hexport and wonder if anything in the Starward Belt ever runs smooth. That's the end of the dang demo. It's very good. Can't wait. Can't wait, will wait. What a neat universe. I'm a big fan. Hit the quit button. Oh, hey, there's my dang desktop. Let me there's nothing incriminating on there. I hope. Let me hide that. That was good. I don't think I can speedrun the demo. I mean, I could, but I don't feel motivated to speedrun the demo when the full game is coming out so soon. But I'm going to look forward to it. I highly recommend, if you have not played Citizen Sleeper 1, please do. It is such a rare thing for a narrative video game to be that mechanically sound, and for a video game to be that well written. It is not a perfect video game, but those don't exist, so that's a relief. And I think that's gonna do it for me. We'll see if I feel up for FFD12 tonight. I might not. Just bring a little bit of the voice doing that, so I might take the night off of that. But this was fun. Can't wait for the full thing. Very much looking forward to it. And I'm going to go not be doing this now. Bye.